He's live. Yeah! Hello everybody, my name is Rodgon. I'm an artist, a designer, a teacher, a mentor, and today we will be drawing together. As we get into this new year, and obviously after my move to Scotland, it has been a while before I have actually jumped on here and done this properly. So, this is about time that we actually do this. Boop, 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 boop. Lately, we have been doing a lot of fun things. We have been filling up this whole sketchbook relatively quick. But we have been teaching and learning in random streams things like eyes, like facial expressions, right? We talked about that a lot last time. We were just going on about the important parts of facial expressions and what actually makes a facial expression a good facial expression. Ugh, I have hiccups. So we talked a little bit about eyes and how we have to use them and how to start distinguishing, like the shapes within them, how to distinguish the two aspects and elements of the eye, and how to actually move that. We talked a little bit about how the range of motion works for the eyeballs, and we talked about a bunch of things, honestly. We talked about ears, we talked about eyelashes, we talked about mouths, we talked about positioning of the hips, we talked about how to see the eye and how to use the knowledge of how you draw your eye to draw your mouths. And we talked also about how important it is to learn a basic concept of the rib cage and the hips so that you can start playing around with your elements a little bit better. And then later on in the day, I went ahead and I did a little bit of research off my own. Oh no, that's gonna be a problem. Hold on. I need to move the camera a little bit because YouTube, as always, with a stupid webcam, is always the odd man out. All right. Let's see if that works a little bit better. Kind of. Let's see. I apologize for this, but we are going to be learning a little bit of whatever you guys ask for. I normally like taking the time to actually ask you guys what you would like to learn because people always learn differently. People learn in different ways, different concepts, different approaches, and if you guys have not learned something interesting from me, I would like for you guys to ask. So for the people over on TikTok, I want you guys to hit that little share button too, because that's the only way that I actually show my work to new people. On Instagram, all you guys got to do is stay there. Instagram doesn't really show my work to anybody else outside of my network anymore, and that fucking sucks. But it's also something that I like doing just because it's my people. Those are the people that were there with me since the beginning. So I like to make sure that you guys have a stream as well. In the hopes that you guys want to support and help, I would like for you guys to go to my YouTube channel and sub to that. That is one of the things that would help me out a lot. But other than that, let's not focus on do whole normal Instagram honest blah 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 social media crap. Let's focus on actually learning something. All right, so yesterday I was doing my own research for a little bit, and I came to the conclusion that shoulders essentially are just easier to draw than I thought. So if we have our basic shape, right, for our rib cage, and we just think of shoulders in the same way that we would think of like a backpack or like a scarf or something like that that goes around our neck, it makes it really easy. Imagine a testicle that's just wrapping around your neck. And that is essentially the best way that I learned how to draw shoulders recently. Clean my pen. Rib cage. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you guys can see that. You guys can see that. You guys can see that. Okay. Rib cage. And then since your neck is a little bit tilted on the front, right? your shoulders wrap around the back of your neck, and you can just identify this shape on top of them. And it ends up being a relatively good way to draw your arms. Once you start adding all your muscles and stuff like that, it ends up actually looking relatively well. So that is something that I discovered yesterday just from 20 minutes of going on to Pinterest and just practicing drawing. Zoom in a little bit, let's zoom in a little bit. And we can't zoom in on YouTube because it's on my computer and my webcam sucks. Okay, so the other thing that I've been actually dealing with, right? And trying to understand completely is proportions of the head. So my entire life, I have been told to draw my faces like this, right? I've been told to draw my faces like this because it's the easy way to map them out. And then you add your jaw and then... So this is not a bad way to map out your bodies and your faces. It's just a very standard one that doesn't really give you much information when you are doing so. Also, the fact that I use this middle line as the eye line kind of takes away a lot of matter that happens at the top, and whenever you start squishing them towards the bottom, it ends up looking weird. So in my experience, whenever, especially when I'm drawing a profile, I would always try to see that as your eye line. But no, that's not necessarily where it should be. If you see it like this is good positioning for, the rest of your body and stuff like that. But that's not the eye line. Treat that as your eyebrow line. And then everything's gonna line up a little bit better. There's enough space here to create hairstyles, to put anything on top, anything like that, right? This is something that takes a long time for people to normally get to. And recently, I've been just really enjoying drawing my figures and then just drawing an extra shape in the front. Just like that. This gives me the side of my face. It gives me my eyebrow line. And little things like this edge of the circle provides me my nose line, and then I can play around with my jawline to get the expressions that I need, while still giving me all the mapping points to be able to work off my anatomy. That spacing at the top of the head is something that took me years to actually be able to comprehend by sketching something out, right? It took me forever to be able to realize that the face is not God, how do I explain this? When you're drawing just a profile, your face is not at the entirety of this front section. This is not your face. Your face normally falls on the lower quadrant of that, and that's your forehead, and that's the top of your head, right? You have little sections, so forehead, hairline, ear, and then if you do it like this, it ends up looking a lot more structured for something that doesn't have to be extremely caricaturesque, or something that is going to be a little bit more towards realism, like comics, or even if you're just journaling your life and you want to draw yourself a little bit more accurate, that's how you do that. All right, so we only have 6 people that have clicked that little button. That is a little under the what I would expect from my peoples here that sign in and actually want to learn. So if you guys are on TikTok, click the little share button, not the heart button. Click the little arrow. That is what I require from people, because that's the only way you guys get to help me. That is, the likes and stuff like that, that's great. Donations, whatever. That's nice too. But I want to reach more people. I want to be able to talk to people that I've never reached before, so that you guys understand why it's important for you guys to click that. So thank you. About 30 of you guys clicked it right away. Fantastic. Awesome. You guys are the best. Instagram people, again, Instagram sucks. Just enjoy. And YouTube people, do we have anybody in the chat in YouTube? Oh, I don't think we have anybody in the chat in YouTube. I don't even think anybody's actually paying attention over there. But at least I have it there for prosperity. So if anybody wants to go look at the stream again, they can go over there and then they can take a look at it. All right, so as we go about learning a little bit more about how to draw a profile or just the general shape of a head, a lot of people draw their heads like this. That's not bad. That's actually pretty well. The front of the face should not be flat, right? It should have an angle from here and then a downward angle going back this way in a way. Because your jaw, well, it depends on the person too. Depends on like the structure of like their jawbones and stuff like that. But the average character will only have a protrusion for the nose and then for the lips. Right? Those are the only things that are going to be sticking away from that line. This same line can be helped to, if you draw a little mask for your character, this character will have high eyebrows because I drew it a little bit past the middle line, which means that the person's opening their eyes, because that's what happens when you have high eyebrows. And you can get a lot of expression and a lot of information just from that little tiny bit of space. Now, if you wanted to create the neck, understanding what's underneath this and what connects this is going to be the key element to learning how to draw that difficult part. Your neck or your jaw has this shape. And it's connected normally to the top of your ears or the bottom of your ears. So ear 1, ear 2. It goes down your jaw, around to your chin, and back around, creating this little gap at the bottom. If your front of your face would be right here, and if you were drawing like your actual shapes, it would be something like that for them. Right? But this lower part of the jaw, learning how to draw through it is what's going to allow you to start turning your head a little bit more. Learning that this has a surface and that your neck is a slightly complicated shape that comes out of there. And your jaw is above your neck, so you have to layer them like that. Your jaw casts a shadow on your neck because it's over it. And if you have a box and you put a cone underneath, that's essentially what you're doing with the neck, but it's just a much closer to complicated shape, so it doesn't seem like that. So you can take your basic elements of perspective that you have learned over the years of you drawing to try to start learning that aspect a little bit more. So start with a sphere, figure out where your both ears are going to be, the front and the back. Lightly draw them in if you want. Connect your jawline by following the path to the front of your mouth, at your chin, and then use that to draw the front of your face. And then go ahead and do all your segmenting that you have been playing around with. Your neck is going to be from your neck, from your ear down, from the other ear down, and it's going to have a shadow. What is your YouTube? My YouTube is Rodgon the artist. So if you guys go to my profile and then click on the links, you guys will get both my store, the things that you guys can support me doing, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, and my TikTok. So if you guys are in any other one of my social medias, that is the best way to reach all of them. Let's see. Questions. Let's see. Arms. Arms have been an interesting concept for me to actually pick up because I learned on a very stylized basis, right? I learned how to draw arms the first time around by learning that it was kind of like a step. I knew that there was something like that, and that's what divided the top of the arm from the bottom. And that is how I would draw my hands at first. Now, I didn't really understand any muscle structures when I learned how to draw like this, so I started cheating. And I would start creating figure eights and stuff like that. And then making those into muscles and making that look like it was like a bicep and stuff. Again, I learned doing things like this, but I didn't really understand the curvatures or the parts where the muscles connect and how they bend and stuff like that. So it was heavily stylized and it was just not necessarily very accurate, but it would do the job. It wasn't until I started learning about anatomy a little bit more that I started realizing how everything intersects. How your shoulder connects to your bicep, and then it splits up into your tricep, and then you end up with your elbow, and then you end up with your forearm muscles connecting, interlacing with the other ones, connecting into your wrist that connects to your hand. Right? Once you start understanding and looking at how things move inside your body, you start seeing that they have very similar mechanisms to that of a mannequin. Okay? Most of your arms and legs have a very similar process like this. They have a part that sticks inside, in this case the bicep would be in this case that section, into the forearm that wraps around it into a more ovalish. It goes from like a round to an oval, like a squash almost. Or a beanbag or something like that. But this part has more volume than this part. So those subtleties are the things that get people in the beginning. Because, for example, drawing a leg, once you understand what a leg consists of, it's just very easy. Because you know where everything is supposed to fall. Right? So you can draw legs incredibly simple in any way, shape, or form. Because you understand how the legs move, how they bend, how they... So it's very easy to learn different ways to construct things once you understand how they're built in the first place. Right? But it's really hard for you to understand the subtleties of what I'm drawing, for example, in this drawing. Like these little curves and stuff like that, a lot of people won't understand what they are because they haven't had the time to take away and learn how our body structures work. Anatomy is a pain in the ass, but it's really important for you to understand it because it's a very important part of being able to build characters. We can do some feet on the next page. This one was already like halfway finished, so we're going to go into another one. I plan on doing another stream later on today too, so I have a very productive day ahead of me, and I'm going to be doing a lot of freelance work and stuff like that as well. So anything that I can actually stream while I'm doing it, I'm just going to connect my phones and I'm just going to jump on here and stream. Yeah, so as we're looking at a leg, right? For example, some people will be like, oh, it's just supposed to be like a cone. And that's fine. You can see it like that. There's nothing wrong with seeing it like this. But if you ever want to become like a person that is known for, their posing and stuff like that, you're going to start having to figure out your muscle structures. and your hard surfaces, which provide you your muscle tissue. And that is just not going to happen by just drawing a cone. You're going to have to go and draw books, and you're going to have to go in and like figure out how you can take that cone and turn that into a leg through learning how everything works. Right? It doesn't just magically come to you because you studied perspective. Like learning how to draw a cone is a very good thing, but learning how to take that cone and make it into different things, let's say like I don't know, like a drink, or taking that same cone and making it into a handle for, I don't know, for a sword, right? That comes from your imagination and your knowledge about a certain topic. It doesn't come from just magically knowing it because you understand perspective. You have to take the time to research all the things that you guys want to learn, because otherwise all this exploration and all this knowledge that you have is pointless. You guys understand that, right? Like you need to be able to put the time and effort to learning what the things are in order for you to be able to draw it to a certain degree of expertise. And if you want to get known for a certain type of drawing, for example, I want to be known for my pinups, right? So if I don't take the time to learn how to draw the human figure into a very sexy female figure, I will never be able to actually accomplish what I want to accomplish. But lucky for me, I have taken a lot of time to draw anatomy and look at figures and posing and stuff like that in order for me to be able to draw more detailed characters incredibly quick, which allows me as well to be able to make revisions really quick, which allows me to be able to draw concepts that are outside of the scope of what I would normally do really quick, and so on and so forth. Let me adjust this camera for Instagram because there you go. So that is something that you guys need to learn to understand. If you guys want to get better at what you guys do, you have to keep at it until you are actually good at what you want to do. It's not a matter also of repeating a drawing over and over. Like, it's not about just going in and like, oh, I'm going to draw faces. I'm going to draw a face. Okay, I drew a face. Okay, next one. I drew a face. No, doing that is not going to help you. What is going to help you is drawing ahead, being, why did I draw this like this? Why did I draw it at that angle? Why did I draw it with that spacing? What here is going to tell me the details of the rest of the face? How can I break this down in a shape that makes sense to me instead of actually just drawing for drawing's sake? The worst thing you can do is reinforce a bad habit over and over and over and over and expect for it to magically go away. That is just not how it works. So you have to actually take notes, be like, okay, I drew this, but how do I know what the distance is for my jaw? How do I know where the temple is? Would I know where the ear is? Based on the ear, how would I find out the rest of the face? Right? And if you can't answer those questions, you need to go search for like more knowledge so that you can fill in those gaps, so that you can actually learn and know what you're drawing, as opposed to guessing. If you find yourself guessing where things go, then you have not put the diligent work in your perspective or your anatomy, or even your reference work, right? Knowing will always beat guessing. And if you're guessing, rejoice in that, because you know now, if you know that you're guessing about how to draw like a nose, right? Oh, I don't know how to draw a nose, so I just draw them with a certain way. I draw them like, I don't know, like a little swoopy into another swoopy, this is what I used to do, honestly. I used to just swoop things around. Swoop, swoop. And it works. It really works. But I could not turn this or this into a drawing outside of the profile. Like I could never have taken this and actually turned it around to make it look like this because I didn't understand the concept of depth, right? Because I never practiced my perspective. I didn't do my exercises, which allow me to draw the front, the back, map out things on an actual image. And then, things like this are very important because this is what it allows you to do. It allows you to build from any angle anything you want. And that is very important in a person, especially if you're looking to be a character designer. If you're looking to be a character designer, this is such an important core concept that everybody skips because everybody wants to get to that final, oh, I drew something cool moment. And they start copying other people's things. Like, I know for a fact that I must have spent like at least 15 hours trying to understand why Scott Campbell drew noses like this. 15 hours trying to figure out why that looked appealing. Holy shit, I was like, ugh. When I started studying anatomy, that came so easy. It was so easy just to understand what he did to get there. Once you understand perspective and anatomy enough, you're able to dissect other people's styles. So you know what things they did to get to that extent. But if you don't know, if you can't see that, it's okay too. It doesn't mean that you're a bad artist. It doesn't mean that you can't do what you want to do. It just means that you might need a little bit more time refining the things that you want to get to, right? Don't get frustrated if you don't know something, but you should get frustrated if you are not aware of something that you're drawing and you keep on doing the same mistake with the stubbornness of it being your style, right? I hear so many people go like, well, I only draw things like that because it's my style. It's my style. No, you don't get it, bro. That's my style. And I'm like, okay, dude, if your style is drawing hands, I don't know, let's make some hands. Like that, right? Like, that's your style. My style is drawing hands like French fries. If that person can't, in a way, draw you a normal hand and tell you what parts of the hand consist of, that person is strictly learning off of stylization, right? Learning off stylization is not necessarily a bad thing. It's honestly how most of us learn. But if you want to make it into a career, if you're looking into making this into like an actual concept of like a way of making a living, you need to take that beyond that. You can't just expect to draw what other people have been drawing and not understand it and then expect to compete with them, right? Whenever you are going as a freelance artist out in the world, it's fucking terrifying. Mostly because it's you, your talent, versus everybody, right? You're putting your talents and your skills and how much you charge against all the other artists out there that are looking to do the same thing. And that is fucking terrifying because it's not easy to compete against people that are better than you. I've done it. And I know several like techniques and stuff like that that I've used over the years to be able to outdo people that are better than me. But it is something absolutely terrifying that honestly, like, it baffles and it confuses a lot of people that want to get into this industry. Because at first you don't know how much to charge. You don't know how much to spend on things. You don't know how much equipment you're gonna need. No one's going to tell you either, right? Like, no one will. Because it's a very subjective thing. If you're going to be doing, comic book pages, what I charge for a comic book page is not going to be the same thing that someone else charging for that same comic book page. even if it is for the same comic book page. It just doesn't work like that, right? You essentially have to learn the value of your work and how much you are willing to do the work for. And this is where a lot of people end up in problems. Now let's move to another page because I'm getting annoyed at like drawing on the edge. All right, so we have a new page. Everybody happy? Cool. So some of the common things that people get into that causes them problems as artists. So common issues. Doodle edition. All right, so the first thing that you have to realize is that everybody goes into art wanting to do the one thing that they love to do, right? They go into artwork going like, yay, I'm going to be the best animator in the world. And they're all cute, and they have like their little, oh, look at them just sitting there drawing, right? So everybody starts the same way. Everybody wants to just be the next Walt Disney, be the next Bill Eisner, like Will Eisner, sorry, or like anything like that. All our aspirations are very fresh and very new and everything whenever we are starting out. At this stage, though, we don't have much knowledge about things. So all we are going about is learning to draw the things that we think are cool. Is based on coolness factor. Okay. All your initial learning comes from that. So as you transition into learning how to draw, most of your initial practices and things will end up being things that you watch on TV, things that you read, things that you like, like it's never going to be really your education that leads you to the place where you want to be at first. Initially, you don't even think about going to school for that stuff. You just focus on drawing the things that you like on TV. So if you watch a lot of anime like me, it's like Dragon Ball and stuff like that. Right? We sit down and we draw the things that we want because we think they're cool. Most of our initial training leads us to thinking like this. And again, up until the point where you try to make this into a career, this is perfectly fine because this is not obstructing anything. This is not going to limit you on anything. It's just going to make you feel happy doing the things that you want to do. Later on, as we progress into more of a preteen and like, if you decide that you want to be an artist here, so at this point you come to like a roadblock, right? At this point, you can decide if you want to be an artist for the rest of your life or if you just want to use it as a hobby. So do you want to go for drawing as a living? Or do you want to go into something else and then keep that as a hobby? This is something that most people do not take enough time to consider. Because sometimes people's mentalities think that going into the arts is going to lead you to the same degree of success as, let's say, going to like a law degree or whatever. Because they have very high optimistic values about what they're going to do. So if somebody is young and they decide to essentially gamble all their financial future on going to do art, you're going to have a slightly different post-graduation looking situation for you. Because most of the time when you go to art school, you are trained to be an employee. You're not trained to be your own artist. So they teach you a bunch of stuff and then at this point I'm going to start giving myself stubble. By this point I'm going to have a little bit of mustache. At this point you get told that your artwork that you like to do might not be good enough to be able to be employed. You have teachers telling you over and over, I know what's best for you. You should do this, you should do that, you should do that, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then that initial love you had for art, this initial love that you had just for creating the things that you wanted, right? That kind of gets destroyed. Especially if you're not into conventional crap like going out and being an animator, right? Or I want to work for Disney, I want to work for Pixar, If you're not that type of mentality person, you're not going to take what they're telling you at face value. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel like, it's like what led you to go to art school is now not even worth it. Like, why did you sign up for art school if you can't even follow the type of art that you like to do? Right? So, at this point, you have an option. Again, you have the option to go back and either... Oh, my sister is calling. Hold on. ¿Qué onda, Michi? ¿Te puedo llamar como en una hora? Porque estoy haciendo stream.
Voy a estar en el trabajo.
Márcame cuando termines, porque ya voy a estar trabajando y haciendo cosas. Pero no voy a dormir por un rato. ¿Ok? Va, te quiero mucho. Bye. All right, we're back. So, in college, you're going to have a lot of teachers that kind of want to wish vicariously through the people that they teach. Sometimes these teachers take that too far and they inhibit people's creativity as opposed to trying to give them an outlet to how they can actually achieve what they want to achieve. So I had that quite a bit in my school. Like, I had a couple teachers that were like, we hate anime. If we draw anime, you are going to be, failed or whatever. So, it was really confusing for me. It was like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Like, that is the one thing that I wanted to do. But now everyone is telling me that it's not going to be a valid way to approach my career. So that leads you to branch off into a bunch of different things that are no longer the concept that you love. You're going to have to try to find different avenues that are going to fulfill that one thing that you wanted to do. It's going to piss you off. It's going to upset you, and it's going to frustrate the living hell out of you. That was my observation from a lot of people that went to my school. I went to a school called AI. Art Institutes of California, or Art Institute. Mine was a California, San Diego one, but they have a bunch of them all over the place. These schools are not meant for anything other than profit, which is fucking horrible. Right? Horrible. So what they do is they just push people to learn the programs, and then they just throw you out to this world in which they never even taught you how to even get a job outside of being employed directly. So you're kind of stuck in a shitty situation. Right? You did not receive the information and the knowledge that you needed to be able to survive outside of getting employed. So while you're desperately looking to get employed, you end up having to take jobs that you don't necessarily like, right? Which defeats the purpose of having done this whole experience. If you are not working in the things that you want to do and you don't know, so not knowing how to profit from your knowledge will always be a failure of your teachers or education system. Okay, this is very certain. The whole purpose of going to college or going to an art school is to know and understand how to take that knowledge that you're learning and how to make profit with it so that you can financially support yourself with your skill set. If a school is not teaching you how to do this, they're not doing anything for you. You can learn Photoshop, you can learn all the programs and all that shit online. You can take free lessons. There's people like me all over the place that teach for free, right? You guys can take that knowledge that you learn for free, avoid having your will broken and destroyed by teachers that don't know shit, and instead of actually looking to just be employed and pay to be a credit inside of an actual production, take that knowledge, understand what you can do with it, and then progress to build a business to make yourself money with what you know as you learn more things. So let's say that you only know how to draw happy faces. I only know how to draw a happy face. That is the only thing that I know how to draw. What can I do with that happy face that will allow me to actually make some money with it? Well, you can make stickers, you can make shirts, you can make posters, you can make notepads, you can make blah, 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 blah. And that's just with one design. Okay? Now let's say that you have 3 different happy faces. All a little bit different. Because you learn how to draw a happy face, and now you know how to draw happy faces in a bunch of different ways. Right? So now you have a set. Now you could sell sets of stickers, sets of t-shirts, gather a gallery, and that's as easy as starting a nice little merchandising portfolio, right? That can be sold later on when you accumulate a decent amount of things. You can sell that to companies to be able to license your work. You can sell that as packages, and you guys can actually just benefit. And that's just from learning how to make a smiley face, right? If you're able to draw anything else, if you're able to draw landscapes, right? If you're able to draw like majestic landscapes that look amazing and they have like foreground elements and background elements and crap like that. If you can do that, see how you can manage to make money with this outside of being employed, right? Outside of being employed. Don't think of companies as your all out like end goal. Companies will dispose of you if they don't need you or you get too good and you are expensive. Companies will dispose of you if you just don't have the qualifications that they want at that given moment. If they find someone that was willing to do it for half, they will get rid of you too. Don't rely on companies. And I will say this a million times over. I've had a very long career in merchandising and in retail and stuff like that with artwork in different various fields. From t-shirts to advertising to photography to illustration to books and everything like that. I have never met a company that is not willing to literally get rid of an entire art department just to save some money at the end of the year, because they can get the artwork for cheaper in India or some other place. So, just saying, if you're going to go to art school, make sure that you understand what you're getting into, right? Because all these schools, most of these schools at least, are in it for the money. That's it. That's all they're into. They're not there to help you. They're not there to cater to you to help you get to the place that you want. They're normally just there to see how much money they can get out of you and then dump you into a field where they hope that you can get a job. Now, how do you do all this? How do you learn all this? In like the knowledge that you get from education, from going to college and stuff like that. How do you do that without having to go to college? Well, there's YouTube. YouTube and places like Twitch and places like not necessarily TikTok, because you don't really see much like actual learning things on TikTok thing. But if you guys go to YouTube and just click, how do I do this? And actually watch and analyze videos, take notes, study, and treat it like it's an actual classroom. Give yourself assignments and be self-motivated. No money will ever need to come out of your account. There's so much information alone on YouTube. And then there's other places where you can go, like 21 Draw is a really relatively affordable, like, to like basis class or whatever. You can ask for mentorships from people that you actually trust and you guys want to do work with. They can teach you things. Most artists are willing to take on mentors and apprentices if, it meets their time and their budget. So that's another thing that you can do. Self-motivation is incredibly hard. That is normally the deal breaker when it comes down to a lot of like self-taught people. If you don't have the self-motivation, you're never going to get off the ground. You're never going to do anything. You're going to need to have somebody else tell you, and at that point, you might as well just go be an employee. Because if you find it hard to self-motivate, how are you ever going to motivate employees and people that you have to talk to and have to deal with on a daily basis just because you are the boss? Right? So if you don't have self-motivation, this is a huge red flag for you. If that is not a case, if you don't have that since I don't have red flag. So if you don't have that, it's going to be really hard for you to be self-employed, which is a very important aspect of going into art and knowing how to actually make money. You can make a lot of money being employed. Lots of money. There's a lot of jobs out there that pay really well. Like just being a book editor, I was getting paid like $75,000 a year, and that was relatively easy work. Now, is it worth it to create artwork for other people? At the end of the day, be so drained from doing work for other people that you don't even want to pick up your pencil. Right? You don't want to pick up your pen because you're just tired of creating and using all that creative energy for other people. Right? You're just tired and exhausted, and the last thing you want to do is go back to drawing the things that you love, because you're tired of creating. Nobody has an endless amount of creative energy. No one does. We all run out of it. And that's what art block is. That's what art block like triggers, right? When you don't know what to do anymore, or you don't have the motivation to do it, that's when art block hits. Only been spraying for 5 months. Now check them out. I post all of them just because, that's cool. Constant signs. Yeah, I've been drawing since I was little, but tired of my. So okay. Let me tell you guys something else too. Something that's really fascinating to me. On the side note, right? Like just differently from this. The way that don't be afraid to start late in life. The reason that I say that is very, very, very important. The way that we learn is very interesting as well. When we're little kids, again, we're only drawing the things that we like, right? It's not until here, until like college area, where we actually get told that we have foundations. Foundations are taught, not really just learned by themselves. Like these are not necessarily lessons like perspective and anatomy, are not things that we normally learn on our own. We normally need to be instructed to be able to understand it. Things just like replicating, copying, even realism can be learned from just replicating and playing around with like elements. Elements like perspective and anatomy are not. The thing is, you need a combination of these two things in order to actually understand character design, which is a lot of you guys out there. And that's what you guys are trying to do. You guys are trying to get into character design, but if you guys don't have a very strong foundation of your basic elements and perspective, it's going to be almost an impossible task because it's full of people that are masters at this. Okay? People that master this skill, this element, this simple core basic understanding of just depth through perspective, people that are able to get that are the people that are going to get the jobs that everybody wants. So if your goal is to work for an animation studio, this is the stuff that you should be learning. This is the stuff that you should be practicing every day. You should be practicing your anatomy and your perspective every single day until you master it. Because if you don't, you're competing against people that have. You're competing against people that have spent their entire lives trying to play around and practice with this shit. If you go in with your style and then you try to compete against people that can expertly copy and replicate any pose, shape, position, style because they understand all this to an expert degree, you're going to be lacking in those skill sets. And eventually you will be weeded out because it's just not something that people without that knowledge can compete with. It's just hard. Yeah, it's possible, but it's really hard. It's really, really hard, especially if you want to be in things like animation, storyboarding, visual development, aka character design. Let's see what else. Sculpting. Yes, sculpting requires you to be able to see things like that. And, if any of those are the elements of things that you guys want to get into, please take the time to do your daily practice studies. Do an entire page of just circles with spherical like divisions in different ways. Right? Practice doing quick cubes and actually understanding the concepts behind where things are going and stuff. Isometric perspective versus realistic perspective, which is what I like to call it, with vanishing lines and stuff like that. There's another type of perspective that doesn't really require that. It's called isometric perspective, and it's just necessarily just perfect lines going all over the place. So this is a very easy perspective to learn. This one's a little bit harder, and this one's more used for honestly, for backgrounds and vehicles and things that require a vanishing point. Whenever I'm drawing a character, if I'm drawing a character, I am not thinking of a vanishing point, right? I'm not thinking of where the character is going to be standing until I actually try to sit them down on something or stand them up on something. Up until then, it's just a nice, just a simple shape that's just sitting there. What I do with my knowledge of perspective and basic shapes is what's going to lead me to be able to do the poses that I need. But in order for me to be able to understand and be able to move a character at all, I need to understand the character even just a little bit. So, even though you don't necessarily need perfect perspective when you're drawing characters, learning a way of perspective and understanding that all your shapes are not just basic shapes, they're complex shapes, right? They're more complex than we would ever want them to be. But once you start understanding little by little, it'll all start falling into place. And the more that you take the time to study and understand the anatomy and perspective of things, that's when you're actually going to start seeing your own style come through. Up until then, you're going to see mostly your style be compilations of a lot of other people's artwork, just combined into a big mush of your own styling. But it's going to be mostly other people's knowledge combined with your ability to draw it, as opposed to your knowledge, your decomposition of the basic elements in anatomy, and then creating your own style based on that. How look your day training? I don't know what you meant by that. Let's see. How long have we been on? We have been on for 56 minutes. So, as we are getting closer to our end of our hour, because I don't want to go past many, like an hour from now on, because nobody ever watches past like 20 minutes anyways. So, as we get close to it, let me sum up our points and our thoughts. Yes, my YouTube is under the same name as my screen name. So, Rodgon the Artist. Okay, so let's summarize what we learned today. At first, we were drawing a bunch of just heads. We talked a little bit about the sizing and the positioning of the actual features of the face, how to actually start mapping up a little bit better so that they come up a little bit more accurate and easy. Then we started going on to why little common things that people have to go through it. We went through how we learn, at what point our dreams get devastated by the enterprise that is the art industry, how the frustrations can lead you to deviating from the initial things that you went to school for, and how to stop yourself from just being another like employee artist that has no future outside of being employed. A couple points about the education system that are very prevalent is just not teaching the people that you are educating how to make money with what they learn. That is huge in art school, and it's fucking terrifying that they graduate so many people without that knowledge. And we also talked a little bit about how you can take even a simple thing like a smiley face that you know how to learn and actually start learning how to make money with it. Right? Learning digital art is going to be extremely important for anyone trying to be a freelance artist. If you do not like digital art, you're not going to make it as a freelance artist. I'm sorry. It's going to be incredibly hard, and you're just going to make your life incredibly harder by saying, like, just seeing it as like your enemy or something. It's just a tool, right? Digital art is just a tool. It's not the devil. It's not real art. It's just a tool. Just like this pen, just like this sketchbook. It's just a fucking tool. So stop thinking that you have to be a traditional artist and you can't touch that. This is what's going to make you money at the end of the day. Right? So learning how to use it is not you breaking away from, you only do traditional art, so no, stop thinking like that. The moment that you start like segmenting yourself into like, okay, here's all the world of art. Right? This is the whole world of art. World of art. For the majority, let's just put it simple and let's say that half of it is digital, half of it is traditional. Painting, drawing, sketching, or, Photoshop, Illustrator, blah, 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 blah. So half of it is traditional, and then half of it is digital. If you already segment yourself as a traditional versus a digital artist, you're already eliminating half the world of possibilities for yourself. That alone. Then let's say that you segment yourself even further. I just want to be a comic book artist. That's your segment right there. That's what you get. That little tiny section right there. Now you have no access to the rest of the world. You're just an animator. Cool. You're just an animator. That's your slice right there. Maybe a little bit traditional, a little bit digital. But that's what you're limiting yourself to. That is what you're telling yourself that you are. Right? So all of the other parts of the art world are just pointless to you. You don't even want to touch them. And then if you ever wonder why you fail, failure only comes from your own limitation. And I honestly believe that. I believe that if you limit yourself to this horrifyingly small extent, the odds of you succeeding against the entire world of art trying to get to that one slice too is going to be insignificant. You're not going to effectively be able to make a difference or get to where you exactly want because you have essentially narrowed yourself down to a needle in a haystack. So everyone's different. Even people have different everybody has different kinds of skills. Maybe trying digital painting or you should try it. It ain't that deep to most people. See, I am not most people. I'm a person that sees patterns within the art world in the people that I teach and the people that I see struggling. And I'm realizing that the people that struggle the most are the ones that segment themselves into minuscule tiny pieces of markets that are very hard to get into. Being an animator is kind of like being a rock star in the art world. Okay? An animator has almost the same amount of possibilities of making it as a person in the music industry. So you guys make your assumptions from there. Also, most animator jobs only have a 3-month contracts. So even if you do make it as an animator, you have to be relevant past those 3-6 months or whatever they give you initially. After that, you're on your own again and you have to find work again. Again, if you don't know how to make money with the knowledge that you have, you're gonna be shit out of luck. And companies fucking suck. Don't rely on companies. Because they will dispose of you if they can. They just do that. And it takes many times for people to do it to you for you to realize it. And I've had that happen many times. Not for my own particular traits or job performance. I'm a fucking awesome employee. But we just got too expensive or too much knowledge or blah, 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 blah. Right? Who gives 2 fucks? They, at the end of the day, don't look out for the people that they are employing. They just want more money. So be careful who you work for. Have I worked on any popular shows? No. I refuse to work for a studio. I don't want to be just... You know what happens when you go into a studio? The show will never be on your name unless it's your show. And then you're just gonna be a name in a line of credits that no one's ever going to look at. Then what do I do? Make your own animation. Instead of being an employee animator, pitch animations. Pitch. Be the leader. Get a couple friends together, lock yourselves up for a couple months, create a pitch, and then use that to sell a show. Don't just go to Netflix and be like, I want to animate the next show. Yeah, that's cool and all, but at the end of the day, you're going to put like 16, 20 hours of work every day, and you're not going to get anything besides a paycheck. You understand that? Like, at the end of your career there, you will be known as an animator for another show, as opposed to you making the animations that you want, because you have that ability to do so. So that is the difference. That is a huge difference, a gigantic difference. Somebody that's in control of a creative process, as opposed to just being a lemming that just does things because they tell them to. That is a huge difference. So if you want to go into animation, pitch animations, create animations. Don't just get employed. Is YouTube a better option? I think so. I truly do believe so. Be your own boss if you can. Honestly, that if you can, especially in this day and age, if you can be your own boss, be your own boss. Fuck companies. I have people on. Hey, Scott Campbell. Hey, Emily Arts, Andrew Moon, more pinups. You are my favorite. You kill it. Thanks, man. Aw, thank you. Be your own boss. Yeah, make NFTs. I mean, a lot of people make made a lot of money from that stuff. So if I would have hopped on board on that because it was the easiest thing in the world. It was just like creating a bunch of different images from the same character and then just selling that for millions. Yeah, that would have been something good to get onto. But I didn't because, again, I don't really trust people. So, hey, an opportunity lost maybe, but not really because it's not something I wanted to do anyway. Then I need to build self-motivation, right? Well, if you're not a self-motivated person, you can always look to see if you can find affordable education that is actually going to help you, as opposed to education that is just going to make you fulfill the categories that are needed for somebody in a certain market. If that makes any sense at all. Any advice for character design or character design? What? So character design or character design? Learn perspective and anatomy to an expert degree. Because a character design can take the same concepts, and as long as you understand what you're drawing, you can change things a lot coming from the same beginning. Right? You can go ahead and create a million different characters just from understanding how to divide a cylinder. You want to make some evil ones. Wow. The styles that you develop throughout your career, the things that you like to draw, will eventually become the styles that you draw. But understanding how those styles are broken up and how they get to that, final look is what's going to distinguish you from a person that just draws cool versus a person that's a master at what they do. Been watching a lot of Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? It's it's just interesting to see and actually study how people learn. And I've been doing that a lot lately. Like I've been focusing a lot more on learning how people learn as opposed to learning how to teach people. Because I believe that if I can actually understand a little bit more about how people struggle, then I'll be able to actually be able to touch those aspects that are hard for people to comprehend. And that is the goal that I have as a career. I decided that I wanted to be a teacher about 6 years ago. I didn't really, I wasn't able to push the way that I wanted to because I didn't have the notoriety or the following that I needed. So I spent about 5 years developing a whole social media so that people would actually acknowledge me as an artist. I got to the point where now I have about 250,000 people that follow me and support me. So that allows me now to be able to put credibility behind my name. And if I'm able to do that, then I'm able to actually push what I want to sell to places like art schools, colleges. I can sell my knowledge to these places and hopefully help a wider range of people become better educated, more understanding of what they're getting into an art career, and also the struggles that are going to come across for most people that are not privileged enough to have, daddy's money or something like that to be able to come back to. Right? So my goal is to help the people that don't have those resources, but they still want to create for a living and go into this field that's actually it's catered and mostly led by people that have a lot of privilege in their life, right? It's not something that somebody that's struggling is very easily going to access because it takes a lot of liberties and it takes a lot of just not being able to worry about surviving to be able to get to the point where you need. So my goal with all my YouTube, with all my Instagrams, with all my TikToks, all the crap that I post online is meant to help people that don't have those resources. So if you guys want to learn, you guys can just go to my YouTube channel. There's like almost 300 videos now. Besides between the streams and the lives and just videos that I've put together, there's almost 300 videos, hundreds of hours worth of free education that you guys can use to be able to make a career from it. And all you got to do is go to my page. I don't charge anything because I don't believe that people should pay to learn how to be creative. And even though eventually I'll have to rely on getting courses out, those courses will be so packed full of information and knowledge that it will actually be worth it for you guys, right? And since I'm horrible at keeping information from people, I'm probably just gonna be like finding ways to release that information like as much as I can while still being able to make a living, because it is also the way that I make my living, right? So I have to find that balance in order to be able to do that. But you people support me through my books. I have 3 books if you guys are interested. I'm not going to pitch them. You guys can go check them out in my Instagram links or my TikTok links. But I have 3 books. One, Against Art Block, which is a compilation of all these sketches that we do every day. I have thousands of pages of these. So that is a compilation of those. And we have pinups, which is a lot of hot girls, like 60 pages worth of hot girls. And then Coffee Break Doodles, which is my gallery, my curated versions of my sketches that I love, right? So those 3 books are the way that you guys can support me. If you guys feel like it, great. If you guys don't feel like doing that, you guys can do so for free by subscribing to this, clicking on the little share button whenever you guys actually jump on here. Okay? So whenever you guys jump on here, click on that button. We got to 292 followers. We ended up with 7.1 thousand people in the chat, right? So doing that helps me immensely. So consider that your best way to help. Anytime you go onto my live, click on that little button. People on YouTube, I have no idea how you share that stuff. Honestly, YouTube, I love you guys, but it's normally most for like prosperity there. Anybody that wants to actually go and back and like look at something, they can go there. Any donations that you guys do tend to go towards getting better equipment, better cameras, better mics, better lighting, and essentially it just helps me build my studio. I don't necessarily use my donations to go buy myself a car. I wish it was to the point where I could actually do that, but it doesn't do that. It just honestly mostly pays for like extra light bulbs and like, you know, like a little stand or something like that. So thank you guys so much for all your time and attention. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. If you guys are still here, I do appreciate you guys. If you guys stayed through the whole lesson, holy shit, you guys are amazing. I might stream a little bit later today as well, just because I feel like being a productive person today, and I just want to stream some more because I haven't been able to do so lately. So I actually enjoy teaching. It's not a chore, it's not my job. This is my hobby, and I happen to make money with my hobby, which is the best time ever. You guys have a wonderful day. I'm going off to maybe go get some food or something like that, and I will catch you guys in the next stream. Okay, goodbye, little Rod. Bye, everybody. Bye, TikTok. Bye, YouTube. Bye.